Morning guys, today we're gonna go get some hay. What the
Big interview. You check your seats, your resume, your pulse.
Good morning guys. Today we're going to be changing the starter on a 1993 Ford F-250. The first thing you're gonna do when you're changing the starter in your old farm pickup truck, any pickup truck, any car is gonna be pretty similar to this video, so it's just not specific to this particular model year. You're going to have to find the right starter. You'll notice here I have two starters here. When I look up the part for my vehicle, I find both of these part numbers. What is the main difference between these two starters? Well, one is for an automatic and one is for a manual. How do you know which car you have? Well, if you have to manually move your car between gears with what you call a stick shifter in the center of your car, then you have a manual. If you just slide it into gear, then you have an automatic. Personally, I prefer the manual over the automatic. These starters are two very different sizes. One is substantially larger than the other. The automatic is much smaller. For our repair today, we're going to be doing the manual. However, like I said, the process of replacing a starter, regardless of the car, regardless of the vehicle, is probably going to be very similar to what we're doing today. First, you identify the right part. Next part, we'll go to the installation. Well, removal of the old one and then the installation. You guys are probably wondering why I have two different size starters in my truck. The truth is that I acted out the fake start at the beginning of this. The car was already not starting. I went online, I ordered a starter. I got two starters in the mail from AutoZone. I don't know what that was about, but this is the one that I ordered. The other one, obviously, I'll take back because I have no use for an automatic starter. I don't even know why they sent it to me. However, they did bill my card for it. So if I order from AutoZone again in the future, that will depend on how they handle this situation. This is a starter. Some of you probably don't know where to find the starter on your vehicle. I've been there too. It could be very confusing if you're unaware. So on a manual vehicle, the starter is going to be found on the crankcase. I'm sure it's probably similar on an automatic vehicle, but where in the world is the crankcase? The crankcase is right between the engine and the transmission of your vehicle. It is what connects the vehicle to the transmission. And what you have in there is a giant gear. That gear is designed pretty much to spin, and it will spin the motor, start spinning the pistons. That gives your motor the energy to fire away and start up. And then once it starts, it spins it for you. Imagine that. But you can't just go under there and spin it with your hand. Way back in the day, they used to have cranks. They'd crank it. So what we have now are these electronic starters that are powered by the battery in your vehicle, and it has a solenoid. It spins the motor. There's a little gear in here that pops forward as you turn your ignition switch, and it spins that crankcase, allowing the motor to start. So you'll find your starter. It will look something like this. If your starter looks a little different, look at what it looks like. And then simply climb underneath your vehicle in the area of the crankcase and find a similar product. I guarantee you, whatever you bought in your box, you'll find somewhere underneath the vehicle. A lot of people, when they're having engine problems starting, they'll hit it with their hammer because sometimes it's just frozen up. That's what it sounds like mine is doing. I would highly suggest you don't do that, because what it means is that your gear is somewhat worn out. It's not moving freely. And by freeing it up with the hammer, yes, you might be able to get your car to start in an emergency, but you could also end up chewing up the gears inside your crankcase, and that's a much bigger repair than what I'm about to do right now. Okay, so welcome to the underside of a car. If you've never been here before, you're lucky, because I find myself here a lot lately, and it's not fun. What you're gonna do is you're gonna look for that part that we were just talking about on the underside of your car. Now here's your front axle, or four-wheel drive, you probably have a differential in there. And the bottom of your motor, your oil drain pan is probably about here. You'll see your transmission coming in, and then right in here is the crankcase where your motor cranks. And somewhere around this is where you're gonna find that starter. Here's the oil pan, here's my starter, and this is the crankcase. So my starter is right here. It's pretty easy to find. Now, we just need to figure out, there's only 2 bolts that hold this thing on there. We just need to figure out what size those are. I'm gonna take a wild guess. Oh, way too big, okay. It's an 11, looks like it's gonna be about a 14. It's a 13. It's actually probably pretty close to a 12 millimeter. I just need to loosen that. Righty tighty, loosey goosey. So most of these that I've done in the past, you just have the bolts coming in through the top. But this one here, that back bolt, if you could see it where my finger's pointing. Let's get that. Come on, focus. Well, it's coming through from the other side. So that one came out that way. The other one is somewhere tucked right back there. So I'm gonna have to come around and get it from the other side there. Once you unbolt your starter, you'll notice that you've got a hot wire on the back side. You're gonna have to basically just take both of those wires off. You might wanna check your starter. I've noticed on this starter and the new one I bought, it says do not remove this lead line. So right here, it doesn't want you to remove that lead line. It wants you to cut it and then heat shrink and connect the new lead line. But this top lead line, you can go ahead and unbolt. All right, so I've removed the main lead line right there, and that's the one that it says that it wants you to cut and heat shrink. So I'm gonna go get what I need to get that cut, and then we can install the new one. To cut this and heat shrink it, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna come up and snip the wire. There's our old starter. Pull that wire back down. Kind of ran away from me there. Here's our new starter. And you're gonna need to strip back the old wire, which might be hard to see on that camera, but there we go. Oh, the new starter's a little short there, so what I'm gonna do, grab a box to sit it on. The thing I don't like about working under cars is I can never see where I put tools. So annoying. Okay. Grab my heat shrink, slide that over the wire. That wire is a little long, so I'm just gonna snip it down just a little bit. And then you're gonna crimp it onto that wire. Now you could do this with a lighter, but I don't like having open flames underneath a truck or any vehicle for that matter. So I am going to use a heating device, if I can get it to turn on, to heat that. I need to figure out what's going on with my electricity here. Now with that shrunk on, I'm gonna go ahead and attach my main power line here. And I'm not gonna completely tighten that down just yet. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this back into place before I tighten that down. But now my electrical is hooked up and I should be ready for my final steps of just reinstalling. So your starter is just gonna go back up into the hole where it came out of. So when you put this back in, I would suggest doing the bottom bolt first and getting it set into place, and then do that longer bolt that comes in from the other side up at the top. Okay. All right. Oh, unhook your battery. All right. So it's just gonna slide right into place there, and then bolt it back in. This would all be a lot easier if I could see what I'm doing. It's over there. Top bolt. There's one thing I'd like on this truck. It's a lift. A lift, just an extra 6 inches would go so far. So far. Make my life so much easier. Pretty good. Now we'll tighten down this bottom bolt that we hadn't tightened yet. Alright, now there's the matter of this top electrical wire, which I hadn't tightened down. And I did that because I wanted to make sure I got everything lined up correctly before I went and tightened down the hatches on that one. Of course, I may regret that decision. Everything should be good to go. So I committed a major fail at the beginning of this project. I didn't disconnect my battery. Now, some of you may have caught on to that major fail as I was installing the new starter. Oh, for the old starter, it didn't really matter. I didn't electrocute myself or anything, but when the new starter got in there, bam! Oh, anyway, let's give this a shot and see if she starts. It's been a while since one started, being honest. And here we go. Nothing, not even a battery signal. That's not good. I may have just shorted out my battery. All right, it could be a loose wire. I don't think it was that bad when I shocked myself, but crazier things have happened, I suppose. Give the battery a quick test. It says I have 70%, but I wasn't getting anything when I put my key in the ignition. Not even a blink of the lights. There we go. This is a problem I've had with this truck for a while. A different starting problem it is shorting out something in the truck when I hit the ignition switch. And I'm not sure. I've always come out and messed with my battery cables, disconnect it, reconnect it, and then it starts to work again. Maybe some of you have an idea of what that could possibly be. It is beyond my comprehension. Just did it again. What I'm going to try and do here is clean off my terminals a little bit. I'm just going to take some sandpaper to them, get rid of some of the corrosion that's built up on these terminals over time. So I'm just taking a sandpaper to them and removing the old corroded, nasty metal. And you can go on the inside of these and clean up the terminals themselves. They're pretty gnarly looking. Maybe getting close to time to just replace these old terminals because they're pretty gnarly. Let's give it a shot. So there you have it, guys. Pretty simple little process. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. Simple, easy project. Till next time, have a good one.